to episode 6 of Soccerheads New England. I'm Dave Rattigan. We're going to call this one, quote, Jim didn't listen last week, because Jim was sick last week. He had the entire week to listen to the podcast. You would have thought, Paul, that he might have been interested, but no, Jim didn't listen. I'm Dave Rattigan, comedian, former award-winning sports journalist, and terrible one-season high school soccer player. Alongside me is Jim Ruberti, who was sick last week and didn't listen to the show. Comedian, former UMass Boston soccer captain, and also a captain of industry. And Paul Nardizzi to my right, comedian, former Bentley college soccer player, and we're pretty sure spy for the Russians, or at least the Italian national team. So, Paul, let's talk about Jim and his commitment to the show.
Well, I'll be honest with you. If I'm out some week, I'm not listening either. So I'm on his side.
All right.
And let me tell you, if you didn't give me the creep and crud, Dave, I would have been able to listen and actually be here.
It wasn't me. It was the Syracuse football fans.
Dave, I had everything wrong with me last week because of you.
You send your kid to a disease-infested place like Syracuse University. You got to reap what you sow, brother. So, all right, moving. This episode, we're gonna give a little shout out to the top high school teams in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. I know there were other schools in New England, but I just thought, we'll throw in a little high school.
Why New Hampshire?
I just thought I'd get two.
Okay,
I didn't
look it up because I have no idea who's.
I was too lazy to go to Connecticut, and, but we'll do Connecticut, Rhode Island, Vermont, and who do you think the top soccer team in Vermont is?
Burlington. That's where all the people are.
We're going to predict Burlington, Jim, and Paul's sitting there thinking, what other city is it?
Stowe. Why? There's some people in Stowe.
Okay. So Paul says
they play
Stowe.
soccer for 26 days in Vermont. It starts in November. The snow starts November 17th in their season.
What do we know about the Denver Broncos? The high altitude. So you live in Stowe. You're up in the mountains. You got a home game, high altitude, it's a big advantage.
I told you, I played for North Adams State College for a semester.
Yep.
And I came from Cape Cod to North Adams State College. And the first thing was the mile run. This is no lie. I'm in the lead for 2 laps. 2 laps. 2
full laps.
I came in last by almost a half a lap. I could not breathe. I know exactly what you're saying. You get up at those high altitudes, I'm telling you, it's bad.
North Adams is in my son's league.
Well, what are they called now? The
MCLA.
MCLA, Massachusetts.
So they play
Framingham
State.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful spot. When they have to play out there, I don't mind going out there. It's nice.
Well, I'll tell you, I stayed in the dorm room, and before practice, they made the whole team jog up to the athletic fields.
Yeah, it is high, yeah.
Yes, and when I got there, my father told me when he dropped me off for soccer, I had never been to the school. The coach called me and said, look, we want you to play for us. Come on out. You'll have a spot. My father dropped me off in the parking lot, and he said, son, give him the old 1-2. And that's when I came back with a grade point average. 1.2. I said, I lasted on the soccer team about 4 weeks until I found out that drinking was a lot better than playing soccer running in the hills.
Many a student has discovered that.
I went from soccer balls to beer balls.
Paul, I got to tell you, when he was saying he was leading after 2 laps, I thought, wow, is there a Subway in North Adams?
See, Dave, this is a podcast. This is not a camera. They can't see that I'm a larger individual than you are.
The listeners have picked up on the camera. Dave is always insulting you.
Larger than life. Anyway, this episode, we're going to give a little shout out to the top high school teams. I mentioned that. We're also going to talk about the Ballon d'Or Award. Is that how you pronounce it?
Ballon d'Or, yeah.
Ballon d'Or. We're going to we'll talk a little bit about the Champions League. And we're going to talk about the MLS playoffs that start in 3 weeks and the Drake curse, the curse of Drake. Anyway, we'll talk about that more in a minute. But first, I wanted to get you. We did greatest great moments in sports last week. I know, Jim, you didn't listen to it, but Paul shared one of his great moments in sports. And Paul, you say you've got another one before we get to the plugs?
Sure. So I was playing down in Hingham at a tournament. I was probably 25. I was in my prime drinking age. And I played on a team with a bunch of guys from Weymouth and Hingham, and I was from Dedham. And there was this tournament this weekend. So we went down and we played and we won the thing. So I thought it was just a local tournament. It's over, no big deal. They come up after, they hand us the trophy, and they said, so you guys are now moving on. We're like, moving on? They said, well, yeah, this was the regional U.S. indoor champion. you guys are the reps, and you're going to go to Atlanta, Georgia, and represent New England. So we're like, oh, nice. So this is just a party trip for us. So we rent a van. I still talk to some of these guys. Some of them are coaching around the area. So we drive down there, and our team name is the Land Sharks.
Okay.
And our shirt is it's a caricature of a shark with a big mug of beer.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get down there, and the first team we played was, I'm sure you've heard of the San Diego Sockers.
Oh, been around forever. Yeah.
So their farm team was the representative from the West. And they walked up to us, and they're like, what the is that thing on the shirt? So that's just a shark holding a beer. They were pissed. Like, they considered it an insult that this ragtag group had descended into this term. They destroyed us. 15-0.
15-0.
I must say, though, most historic
like
sporting events that have happened in people's lives actually do happen in Hingham. I wasn't surprised.
Why no pro team has adopted the shark drinking the beer is beyond me. So,
I think the mud
team similar. We were called the Outer Shapes.
Yeah.
No, that's hysterical.
The Outer Shapes.
The Outer Shapes.
Very similar.
Yeah. So, long story short, we got destroyed twice, and then the last game, thankfully, was another group of just guys like us.
Yeah.
And we did win. We salvaged a win.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. Yeah, that's all right.
That 15-0 seems like a little bit of an overreaction, doesn't it?
I got it.
And this was standard indoor field.
6
did
on
you have
6
the boards
with
or
boards,
no?
with boards.
Oh, with the boards.
Yeah.
Well, 15-0, Dave, is not that crazy in an indoor game. It's fast.
The nothing part was the part.
The nothing part.
They could have put 30 on us.
Yeah.
Easily.
Oh, they could have put 30? They were going easy on you?
Yeah.
And they went 15? I thought they were mad at you, so they
They
piled
were mad
it up.
early, and then I think the coach sort of scaled it back, but they sent a quick message that.
Well, I guess if...
The goalie must have thought he was a crab pot fisherman, pulling the ball out of the net all the time. I've been there.
I think I played for a team called Land Sharks in the Mud Bowl up in Conway.
There was some interesting team names. That one of the teams, about 10 years later, when I was probably like when I was a father, I had young kids, I was driving a minivan, and the rest of this group is now in their 30s, late 30s. We're all dads. We go play this group of young kids called the Blumpkins. Okay, and they see us, and they think they're going to kill us because we're driving minivans, and they're on their high school parents' couch, and some of their parents came. We destroyed them, which was great. But I kept wondering what that conversation was, on the way home. What's a Blumpkin?
Oh, my God. I was thinking the same thing when you said it. That's a conversation you avoid quickly.
All right, so Jim, have you got a story for us?
Got a story for you. I was coaching in an indoor team, college kids. I was coaching indoor, just like Paul was talking about, and we were in a large tournament in Plymouth at the Plymouth Dome, and I actually had my son, who is 4 years old, on the bench with us, and it was a playoff game. It was big rivalries, all parents screaming and yelling. But I had my 4-year-old kid on the bench because my wife couldn't go. And the kids on the sideline, on the bench, told my 4-year-old son to yell at the ref, "Why don't you go toss a salad?" And he had a lisp, so it sounded like this: "Hey, ref, why don't you go toss a salad?" This is no lie. The ref stopped the game and threw my 4-year-old son out of the game. I was not allowed to coach the rest of the game. They wanted to make us forfeit, but another parent went over and finished coaching the game, which we eventually won. But I think that's historic to have a 4-year-old thrown out of a soccer game for saying something he had no idea what he was saying, Dave. And to this day, he remembers saying it and getting thrown out of the game
Really?
at 4 years old.
Yeah.
He remembers
It was
that.
traumatic for the kid.
It was absolutely traumatic. He was crying. The kids were laughing. All the kids on the bench were howling, laughing because they didn't get thrown out and they got to say what they wanted to say to the ref.
Did he actually show the kid the red card?
Oh, yeah. Showed the kid the red card. He showed him to him. Showed him the red card over his head.
A 4-year-old.
To a 4-year-old. Maybe he thought it was a midget. I'm thinking maybe the ref thought it was a midget, but showed him the red card, and I literally was there in awe, and I could not disagree. I could not argue with the ref. It was the right call at the right time. There I am. I grabbed my 4-year-old's hand. We walked across the field. "Hey, John, I know you don't know anything about soccer." Kind of like having Dave go in to fill in to coach. And that's what happened. But that's my funny story. It wasn't as exciting as Paul's where they actually won something and represented.
Your 4-year-old getting a red card But there's something you didn't know?
Yeah, doing the walk of shame after the
Doing
red
the
guy.
walk of shame, and he remembers it today. He's a freshman in college, and he still tells all his friends about it. He didn't know what toss a salad meant, and I couldn't explain that to him until he was 17. So,
My sister has this is not about soccer, but she has a similar story, and that myself, and I won't say his name, but a kid from the neighborhood, we're older, and I have my little sister, and she goes into the house, and she said a word to my mother, and she said she remembers my mother washing out her mouth out with soap, and she's looking, and there on the hill behind my house are my buddy and I laughing, looking at her. And of course, as an adult, she now asks herself why it was that my mother didn't think, hey, there's this little girl coming in swearing. I wonder if somebody put her up to it. But it never dawned on my mother that. Anyway, all right, moving on to plugs.
we're going to talk about your hair?
Soccerheads New England is sponsored by financial advisor Rick Spencer. For years, financial consultant Rick Spencer has been speaking to parents at free seminars for soccer clubs, youth leagues, and the public. He's helped thousands of students all over New England get into college at the right cost by crafting the best strategy for each individual student. To have Rick come speak to your club, team, league, or group, or to check out one of his free seminars in your area, call him at 978-857-7573. That's 978-857-7573. Rick's also been doing my finances for years, and I can honestly say that if not for Rick, I'd be talking about having Jim Ruberti secretly take my daughter's SATs just to be sure she didn't get into an expensive school. Also, if your league, team, or club needs to raise money and you want to have a good time doing it, you should hire the Soccerheads Experience. The Soccerheads Experience is more than a comedy show. It's a great fundraising event that your community will never forget. Give me a shout, 978-828-9532. That's Dave Rattigan, or try me at dave@scampscomedy.com.
Scamps like a rascal.
Scamps like a rascal.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like
SCAMPS.
And call
Comedy.
Dave if you'd like to sponsor my new email. We're looking for a sponsor for my new email, so feel free
We've been
to.
talking about getting Jim an email for the longest time, but apparently there were no 12-year-olds around your house to program it for you.
And they're very expensive to acquire.
They are. That's the problem with the 12-year-olds. They're fairly easy.
I'm not
They're
talking
fairly
about acquiring a 12-year-old. I'm talking about acquiring expense for an email.
Oh, anyway, moving on. So Messi.
I'll hit him over the head.
Let's talk about Messi. Leo Messi, right?
Yeah, Lionel Messi.
Lionel.
Have you ever watched this man play?
No.
You are
just-
YouTube, Dale. You are missing out on one of the greats
Of
up
all.
there with Brady and
Yep.
Michael Jordan. One of the greats.
Really
Yeah.
interesting that so many of these soccer players are so great, yet they only have one name. Messi, Maradona.
Kaka.
Pele, Ronaldo. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. What was it? Jodakino? I've gotten my notes.
Who?
I don't know. Who's the guy from Chelsea?
The guy from Chelsea.
The guy from Chelsea.
Jorginho?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever his name is.
Italian, yeah.
He's in the top
He's
10.
Italian. How do you
in the top
pronounce
10
it?
For the,
How do you pronounce
I run hot and cold with that guy.
so does
Sometimes
he.
I watch him.
So does he if
And
you
I-
watch him.
So coming into the Euros, I was arguing with my sons, like, this guy is not that good. I would watch him on Chelsea. And then I had to begrudgingly admit during the Euros, I said, oh, okay, I'm kind of on board. Now I'm back to where I was before, because I've watched him this season, and I'm like, he's not doing anything.
You saw him in the Euro Cup, though. He
was good.
He was good.
Yeah.
No, he was, except for a team like that, he was in the top 5 of that team.
Yeah.
So that's where Dave got that name. We were going over the.
Okay.
the
He gave it to
finalists.
me. I'm doing my research.
I'm very proud of
Doing
you.
my research.
Very proud of you.
I listened to the podcast last week.
If you YouTube Messi's highlights, I think you'll just be amazed at what he can do. I really mean that.
So next, that's my homework for this
That
week.
should
It's
be
bad enough that I had to watch the U.S. versus Jamaica,
Yes.
but now I've got to watch Messi.
A 10-minute
I've got
clip
to
of his
find
highlights.
Messi.
Yeah. Do us a
Bobby
favor, just-
Orr has like a 2-day clip at the New England Sports Museum.
I can watch Bobby Orr for days as well.
All right.
He's another guy I should mention up in the stratosphere of a Messi, Brady, Jordan, Bobby Orr.
I'm sorry, Jim.
Take
Jim.
the 10 minutes you would dedicate to Cinemax for a clip. Dave.
Cinemax.
It's on your cable, and you just hit YouTube TV, and you go Lionel Messi highlights. You don't have to get off your couch. You don't have to go to your computer, your phone. It's all right there, and hit play. Trust us.
I like the
You
fact that
gotta
you
watch
think I could manage